You're listening to CBC Online at cbchs.org.
The group I had earlier, we tried to buy those, lost it in a bid. Some guy bought them, then he tried to do what? Tried to sell them back to us.
CBC Online with Gary Ryan. We're back here at the old Clayton campus.
Yeah.
Got to be a big thrill for you. You spent a lot of years here teaching. Talk about the experience of bringing kids here today.
Oh, it's so great. I mean, I feel like I'm bringing them to like my home, my first home, something like that. This is where I really started my career and everything, and you know, there's so many great memories here. I'm really glad that the kids connect to it. Dr. Dohle and I want the kids to kind of understand that this is like a place in time. You know, something really special happened here, and when you go through the city, everything gets knocked down and moved around, and we really want to show how much we appreciate this place.
What are some of your what are your memories of this campus?
Oh, well, you know, I started out as a track coach here, and I love coaching. I thought that was one of the greatest things. Just the kids that came through here. We've had, you know, everybody from a magician to an NBA star. You know, I mean, there's so many people. When you think of a place, you think of the people. And I mean, the teachers I worked with. I remember as a kid, Lingle, we started teaching together a long time ago. And I remember I said, "What do you want to do? We got 15 minutes before we had to do something." He goes, "Whoa, wait a minute." We went on the trunk, got a football, we threw that around for a while, and we kicked a soccer ball around for a while. So I saw people that I grew up with here that I think that I like. You know, grew up with as an adult, and just the great teachers that I met, the people that were here before me that you heard about. You know, that were just so fabulous. I mean, there's some crazy, wonderful people that have come out of this building.
And finally, what you know, just the state of the building. It's still in good shape. It looks good, and people pass by here. I mean, it's kind of eerie being back here, kind of surreal.
Yeah, it's strange. You know, it's like going back, like I say, to your old house. You think I still own that because I lived it. So I think that's it. I think you feel like I should still be able to just go in there and start teaching. You know, that's the kind of feeling I have. And I hope, to tell the truth, if anybody gets to see this on the web or anything like that, I hope this brings back a lot of memories for the kids that went through here. All those really wonderful kids that came through here. I think that's the greatest thing.
Thank you. My advisory, I go to Snooks. And I go to this Snooks because I like to go. Some questions I take it.
321 CBC Online. We're with Dr. Jim Dohle in a kind of special occasion today. We're taking the kids back to the old school. Talk a little bit about today's field trip.
We brought our honor students. We brought down 78 kids, and basically the idea was to share a little bit of CBC history. We basically have gone from the old school down on Sari and 8th, and basically made our way out to Sherman Park, out of Kings Highway, Easton / Dr. Martin Luther King, and now we're out here at CBC where I began teaching, and basically my experience out here is a precious one. It's a good one. Kind of moves me just a little bit in terms of that. It's really great to see the old place. Lots of character seeing the 80 gym attached basically to the old gym. Looking up at my old classroom up on the second floor. I had a classroom that was up in one of the turrets. It's just neat to see the whole experience, kind of the incredible amount of character this place has. And just how cool it is just to be back amongst here and to share it with the kids, to be able to get them to understand exactly a little bit when we talk about the old CBC, what it meant and what it meant to so many of their parents and their grandparents.
Very interesting aspect of CBC being such a generational school. There are certain generations that remember the new gym versus the old gym. There are new people remember the rifle range versus the empty storage cabinet, and obviously the Field of Dreams campaign that went on in the 90s. So talk about CBC as a generational spot. There are so many people have so many different memories of the physical aspects of the building.
Well, I think that you can just, as you walk around the building, you can almost feel the generations. You can almost see the blue blazers of one particular JROTC group. You can almost see the 90s, the end of the crowd in terms of their uniforms. You can see the football team out in the grotto. And you remember clearly that there were kids who played in this team that went to the went to the Dome. His dad remembers praying out in the grotto out here. I remember Brian Haggerty with great strong feelings of him coming out of the weight room over there, feeling good about this place. And Haggerty himself is a person who's gone through generation after generation. And now we're on to basically a new group of people who basically are on to a different campus. But we'll always remember this place.
As we look out over the former Clem Field, many football games out here, many of federal inspections out here. This really was a gathering point for a lot of alums and students here.
It was a place that, for example, when you bring up federal inspections, you would basically have people lined up and go through their marches, go through their uniforms, go through some of the drills, and basically obviously line up in front of the 4-stars or 3-star generals who would show up for that inspection. I can remember the first one I attended here, and I can remember the last one I attended here, and it was a great and glorious tradition for its time and for its place. I can remember the heartbreaks of football games out here where you thought you almost beat SLU and you watched one of your starting halfbacks who hadn't fumbled all season kick the ball away. You watched great victories and against the Smet and teams of Denny Cernecka. So it was just obviously a place where I was just telling the kids, you could walk out of your classroom, take 5 steps, and you could stand out and you could be able to watch the game, and you could go out and see a varsity soccer game, or you could pick up a B game. And with it all the kind of idiosyncrasies, the football practices up on the tennis courts, or the baseball team taking batting practice up there. Once again, the lack of athletic facilities, and again, the reason why we moved out to where we're at today.
Well, unfortunately, we're not able to go inside the building, but on the front lawn, you're able to point out your old classroom. That bring back some memories for you.
Yeah, it was great to be in one of the turrets. It was great to walk in every day and see the curved kind of nature of the turret, the wood, the sense of looking out and looking across at the buildings and St. Mary's Hospital. It's just a place that will always be part of me. It was a place that was part of Pat Patton, who had the room before me. And there's some treasured teachers who basically have moved their way through that third floor that I basically started my teaching career here and obviously moved on to a different campus.
And finally, what is the actual assignment for today's students? What are you expecting them to do? Are they doing a report on this, or is this merely just informational trip?
There's some information involved, but mostly what I'd like to get them to do is experience it. So, for example, one of the things I asked them to do when they were downtown was just tell me what it smelled like. It smelled like railroad ties, it smelled like creosote, or it smelled like dog food. The point is, it became a very industrialized area. Once again, that's why we moved out. Both of the last 2 campuses, the Sherman Park and this one here, the proximity, the landlockedness of the campuses, which did not allow for consistent growth. The proximity to the 2 other universities, St. Louis U, where we drove by, and WashU, where we drove by, and how CBU in town could have been basically the 3rd part of a collegiate university triangle, and it would have been really an impressive accomplishment basically back at the time, except we had a little fire.
Again, what's been your favorite part of today's experience? Has it been the riverfront out at Sherman Park or out here at this campus?
Well, this place is always special out here. I can't hardly, I almost kind of moved to tears when I looked up at the campus. I was telling the kids the story too of we had an English teacher, Wayne Elbert, who was just a brother's boy, who was a great teacher, and he spent hours and hours of time. Well, when he had a stroke and had to move up to a nursing home around Chicago, they pulled up the ambulance in front of the school, and the whole school came out on the front lawn, literally to say goodbye. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that kind of experience. I'll never forget the rousing pep rallies in the gym. It's just a great place to be.
Earlier you had also mentioned 9/11. The students learned about 9/11 and the events of 9/11 in the gym.
In the old gym. Yeah, they basically, we basically, as teacher, it spread from teacher to teacher. And eventually we were having an assembly in the morning talking about the different clubs and assemblies that were open to students. And basically at the end of that assembly, we offered a short prayer and came back later that same day in the gym for a larger prayer service to say prayers for the people who had died up in the Ark.
Again, that is CBC archivist and social studies teacher Dr. Jim Dohle on CBC Online. We'll check you next time.
Yeah.
CBC, Men for Tomorrow, Brothers for Life.